There are some really good changes coming to New World this week, and actually one of them has sort of already happened. I've got a few things to talk about, so in no particular order, I'll begin. So one of them happened 2 days ago, which I'm sure you're aware of right now. And that is that they basically gave you back the levels that you missed from the season pass if you paid for levels. Now that includes buying the premium with the 20 levels, and it includes buying individual levels. Now the value of that probably wasn't worth very much, but you basically didn't get the value if you then subsequently leveled up to 100 because you didn't get your levels that you paid for. Most of the people who didn't get to 100 were not really affected by this. I asked the question what would happen to the people who got to 100 in the meantime, and I haven't heard anything about that yet. But I tried to ask because I feel bad for those guys. Either way, this is sort of fixed. I wish those people would get some kind of like Marks of Fortune compensation, but maybe it's just time to move on. Now, it's no surprise to those of you who've actually been playing New World that this expansion has had quite a few bugs and issues and that kind of thing. Well, rest assured that the next patch is scheduled to bring lots of bug fixes. In theory, it's going to bring 4 pages worth of bug fixes. I'm not sure what constitutes a page, by the way. I don't really know any way of quantifying that, but it sounds like a lot because they say it's bigger than usual. Now, when asked when this will come, they say it will come as soon as it's ready, basically. They normally do their patches on a Tuesday, and that would make sense because they want to do the patch notes on Tuesday. The release would be effectively Wednesday morning for most of the world, and that's when they would also introduce the seasonal event, the Halloween event this time around. Either way, there's a lot of bugs, there's a lot of issues. This sounds like they're going to do a massive juiced up patch, if you will, and it should be quite exciting when we get it. I mean, are bug fixes ever really that exciting? Probably not, but the game needs it, so let's hope it comes sooner rather than later and there's no huge delay with it. One thing that I've heard of today is that there have apparently been some crashes and a lot more people are getting them than usual. I don't know if that's just anecdotal or if that's a real thing. I haven't seen any comment on it, so I can't really comment on it. Apart from to say, it may have coincided with this. So this is something I have been very, very, very eager for, I think almost since the launch of the game. I won't read this to you, but effectively they're trialing a thing where you can transfer from the main menu, from the character selection screen. Now initially they're just doing it with one server, I believe, in or at least one region, US East. But it sounds like the plan is simply this: when a server gets really, really busy, you'll be able to get a free transfer off that server somewhere else. I'm not going to go into the finer details. Suffice to say that that would have been fantastic at the expansion. I mean, it would have been fantastic at Brimstone, but they've slightly missed the boat a little bit. The game got a lot of negative feedback due to queues, even though I think queuing in an MMO is basically standard, it's what you can expect. But something like this really helps alleviate a lot of the problems. It's not perfect, some people won't be able to play with their friends and stuff like that, sure, but that's just the architecture, the server architecture of New World. But this is fantastic in concept. If it worked and it's not causing any of the crashes or what have you, this will be amazing. I wish they did it 6 months ago so that it was ready for the expansion, but okay, I mean, better late than never, I guess. My tweet to this one was, absolute mad lads and ladies, that is great to see. I didn't say it was a little late, but you know, it is a little late. Really happy to see them push this. I wonder when they started working on this. Did they do this before the expansion and it's just ready now? Or did they go, I'm not really sure what happened. I mean, personally, I was sort of suggesting for something like this. I mean, literally a year ago with Brimstone. But well, let's not complain. Let's just be happy that they're doing stuff. And yeah, this is a great idea. Now, one issue that I'm sort of happy is getting attention is the spawning bug. And I can confirm it is actually an unintended effect and therefore a bug. A bit of me sort of thought it was somewhat intentional because they increased the server capacity. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, let me explain. In-game, basically if you're mounted or even running up to mobs at this point, you would run up to a mob and it wouldn't be there and then it would spawn right in front of you. Now the old behaviour is something that I personally didn't like anyway. Normally, like if you were in Morningdale or something, you'd be running around and you'd see the bison spawning at a distance. But at least it was at a distance. Now you don't see the bison spawning until you're right where the bison is. And that is confirmed to be an unintended side effect. I sort of assumed that they'd reduce that distance to help with the server load. Maybe they did tweak it and that's caused some of the issues. However, they say that this is not intended and they are investigating. I'm not saying that this will make it in the patch whenever the big patch is with the bug fixes. I don't know when they will do this. I don't think they do. If they're investigating, it doesn't sort of suggest that they've fixed it yet. But maybe they can. Maybe it's just something they can flick up or something like that. I have no idea. It does make the game feel a little bit, I don't want to say cheap, but it definitely makes it feel gamey. Definitely makes it feel unrealistic, if that makes any kind of sense for a game set in Aeternum, this sort of like semi-fantasy world. But yeah, it just feels a little bit icky, basically. I personally didn't even like seeing the mob spawning at a distance. I quite liked the idea that the world is sort of persistent, and seeing the mobs spawn, like seeing a bison spawn as you get close to it, doesn't make you feel that that bison is there all the time eating that grass. It makes you feel like you are in a game and it only exists for you to kill it, which is true, but I don't think an MMO should feel like that, basically. But the behaviour that we're seeing right now is just jank. I sort of laughed that it's basically a nerf to range, because you can't do range because you have to be right on top of them. Again though, that's not intended. So let's hope they fix this one sooner rather than later, if it's not in this week's patch. I'm sure there are a lot of issues that I'm not even talking about. I mean, those 4 pages worth of bugs, I'm sure some of them are frustrating. I mean, it looked to me when I was doing Starstone that the loot was pretty crap. It didn't seem like there was any named items. There's all kinds of that stuff going on. I'm sure we'll settle in a good place, but we're not there yet. Obviously, this patch has to come. Now, I will make a prediction here if you're interested in the economy. If they're going to make any economy changes, they will obviously do it in a patch, and that patch will not be a hotfix. It'll be something like this patch. One thing I could definitely see them doing, because it seems a lot of people do not like it, is reducing the number of chromatic seals on named items. I'm not a hater of that, because I know some of it could be BIS items, but it's worth noting and worth considering that they could reduce it, and they could do it this week. We might see some seismic economy shifts, we might not. Just think about what you want to do with your gold and your resources, just in case. That's it, I won't keep you any longer, just a sort of quick little roundup of various goings on in the world of the new world, I guess, weird phrasing. But big shout out to my Patreons, without you guys this truly wouldn't be possible. And if you want to come and talk to me live, then I stream 6 days a week over on Twitch. There is a link in the description. Other than that, I hope you have a most beautiful day. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.